Hi, everybody. There's the attendees are just popping in, so we'll just start in a minute. Let that settle in. For those of you who were here yesterday, welcome back. Hope you learned a lot yesterday on the first steps of managing the Etdm projects using the EST. And yesterday we focused on preparing the projects for screening, and now today we're picking up. We're using a demo programming screen project and picking up as if OEM had just approved it for screening, and we'll be going from there. Just the regular webinar logistics. You are muted, so please type your questions in the question box, and Mike is here again to monitor that. And we will have the recording available later this week on our OEM website. Introductions again. Pete McGilvery, who heads up our ETDM program, is with us, and Stephanie Clemens, Mike Konikoff from our OEM help desk, and I'm Ruth Roaza, the environmental process analyst. And like I mentioned today, we're going through the process to cover the ETDM coordination tasks that occurred during and after the screening events. And we'll pause for questions between each of these categories of topics and take a 5-minute break about an hour into the webinar. So again, if you weren't here yesterday, what we're focusing on is the ETDM coordination tasks needed to get through the planning or programming screen. Our demos are concentrating on the programming screen because there are some few extra tasks that need to get completed at the end of the programming screen, and we'll be going over those today. Yesterday, we talked about getting ready for the screening event, the first basic step of a screening event, and then today we'll show how to do the notifications, how to monitor comments coming in and extending reviews if needed, and then step 4, compiling the results and publishing summary reports. We'll be covering both the initial summary report, the tasks that occur after that, and then the republication to finalize the summary report. And just to highlight again, if you missed yesterday, these are the folks that are involved in the team with various levels of authorization to do different tasks. We're logged in today as a ETDM coordinator so that we can get you through the whole process. And before we get started on the demos, again, here's the new URL for the new site. It will be going live on Monday, and I will be sending out a what's new through the EST with this URL. We will have the old site open through the middle of June, but we hope you get moved over as quickly as possible and can, help us through any wrinkles. If people are starting to use it right away, we would love to hear from you. Any of your feedback that you have is always welcome. And one thing I did want to say is a big thank you to our EST working group. We've got a team. This isn't just 1 or 2 people that work on this whole process over the last couple years. We have a working group that's made up of some of our power users, people that use the EST a lot, and also our programmers who listen and take that feedback. And a special thanks to the folks who helped us with testing during this release. It was a lot of work, and we really appreciate all that you did. So with that, I will turn it over to Stephanie to give a demonstration about managing the screening events. And here we are starting with the project action sheet page. Yesterday we went over the just overview and how to get here, but we're starting on the project actions, and the very first top, where's my project, it's showing that there is one project in a programming screen, and the first task is to send the notifications. So to do that, you'll notice there's the link right there under actions. It has appeared. It wasn't there yesterday because we weren't ready for it, but now we're ready for it. So she's going to click that, and it brings up the page to start drafting the notifications. There's some instructions in blue at the top, and then there's a series of questions that you'll answer. And they're specific about the type of review. You're ready to start a programming screen, and whether or not you'll be including an AN package. And then when you're ready to go forward, you go to next, and it brings up, based on your answers, it brings up the template. And it lists people who are included, and by default, these are all the folks on your Etat team, and the intersecting MPOs. And other recipients, these would be other people that have been added. Then there's the template, the email template. The first part, the subject, is standard. It pulls in the information from the project. You'll notice there's some things in this template that are shown in brackets, and those get updated when the notification goes up. It pulls the data from the database. The body, the top body, is something that you can edit. And then the middle body you can't edit, but it has links to the EST and basic project information, and then some general instructions that we've been asked by various agencies and over the years to keep in the emails. And then the bottom body, there's a default, but you can edit that as well. And when you want to look at it, you can click the preview email, and it just pops it up in a box so you can see what it's going to look like. You can double check. Again, the things in the brackets will be replaced when it goes out. And save it. And
Okay. That first notification was for EST access. The second part is for public access.
oh, that's right. Because this is including the AN package, you have to do the two different emails. So similar thing. We got some standard information in there, places where you can edit. It's the same information as in the previous site. We didn't make any updates to this.
Yep, and similar to oops, I'm sorry, Ruth.
No,
I was going to say that if instead of saving them individually, you also have a save all button that you can save both notifications at the same time if you'd like to do that. Okay.
and once the emails are all done, to send it, it's you update the status just like you did before, and you start the Etat review and click update. So you'll notice the status is up at the top there, hopefully easy to find. You don't have to go searching through the menu. So the review has started. Notifications have gone out. So there's a couple things during the screening event. One of them is just monitoring to see how things are getting done. There's a couple ways to do that. One is from the manage projects. If you're on your project actions, you can go there and look at reports. The other way is on the dashboard. And so we'll show you both ways. So on the project page, there's a section now under the manage projects that's agency coordination. So here are things you can do, like extending the review if one of the Etat asks if they they need a review, and you just enter who requested the extension, the name of that person, and the justification that they gave why they did it. And remember, with the granting extension, that grants everybody. It occurs during the screening event, and it just adds that standard 15 days to the screening event for everybody. The other thing you can do here is view your project notifications, and this just shows you what notifications have gone out. And you can see the details of each of the notifications. And then a new thing that you can do during an event that we've added is attaching documents. This would be, you might need it if you're getting comments like from some of the Native American tribes or some other interested parties who don't have EST access. You can upload those documents here. It used to be you had to wait till the summary report was published, but there have been cases when you've wanted to get that information as part of the summary report because those comments came during the screening event. So we've extended that ability so you can do that.
Yep.
And then, oh, go ahead, Stephanie. Did you want to mention
Oh, I
something?
was going to say that you can delete documents that you add during the Etat review. Like if you realize, oh, that coordination document's out of date with this agency and I wanted to update it, but you cannot delete anything that was added prior to the Etat review start.
Yeah, because we don't want to be changing information on the Etat right in the middle of a review. So that's why we don't typically edit anything during the review. We have to stop it and start it over again. But in this case, when you're adding something new, especially comments received from other people, it's not affecting the information that they're reviewing. And it might be information that they'd want to see as well. So can we show how to just check on the comments to see how
Yes.
the review's coming along? This, you'll get some notices, like if an agency says there's an issue resolution required and stuff, things like that, kind of high level things you'll get notifications about. But in terms of just seeing, like if your project manager says, how many people have commented, who are we still waiting for? You can check that here under your dashboard on the Etat review status. And we kind of highlighted this a little bit yesterday as well, but you would just go over to the right column on the completion status. It gives you % complete, and you can click on that to bring up the report.
Yep. And as agencies start commenting, this drop-down list will populate with all of the agencies that have submitted reviews so far.
Yeah, so you can select by agency and then, or by topic, and see who has get the details of who's responded. And then the other way to check on it is on the project detail page. This same report is available on that project detail page. If you go to the table of contents, there's a section on the results, the screening event results, and you'll be able to get to that report there. So either way, you can get to it on either the dashboard or through the project actions or straight to the project details. And with that, are there any, those are the main things that we thought you might need to know about supporting the screening events. Were there any questions, anything else that you typically do that I may not have touched on that you want us to go over?
We have one question. If an agency is responsible for more than one subject, does it count the agency comment as complete if they just comment on one area?
Can you go back to that report a second?
Yeah.
And if there happen, do you happen to have a project that actually has some submitted already? I know this is on stage, so we're kind of, 'cause it might be,
Let's
looks like
see.
nobody, we don't have one that's in the middle of the review. But
No, nobody.
But if you scroll down a little bit, you can see the key at the bottom there. So notice it's red if it's red if they haven't.
Yeah, if there's less than 50% of the agency responses, then it will be red. If at least 50% of the agencies have responded, and then it will be kind of a yellow check mark, just showing some partial entries there. And then if all agencies have completed it, it will be a green check mark.
And it determines, it looks at expected topics. So it would only be, if an agency has commented on some of their topics, it wouldn't be green yet.
Right, right. It's looking, like she said, at all of the expected topics. And so it's going to count individually for each one of those. It wouldn't be a green check mark for an agency if they've only submitted one topic review when they have 5.
Any more questions?
No more questions. I did submit one review. Maybe
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
It's still less than 10%.
Yeah.
So it's still red. But which, is it that first project?
It was on 14577. Oh, you know what?
These are
This is something to
D4.
keep in mind. The Etat review status, though, you see it says as of 10 a.m. because it takes a while to calculate all these statistics for every project and every agency. I think it only gets refreshed every so often. I'm not sure what it may be daily or maybe more often than that.
Why don't you check on that and we'll get back to the group on that. That's kind of important to know what that update frame is. Maybe ping Charlie and ask him.
Did you say 14577, Mike?
Yes.
Oh, that's not a D4 project. That's why it's not showing up in this list.
I got you.
Okay, so if there are no more questions, then let's go on to the next part of the screening event, and that is supporting the post-screening tasks. So the first thing we're going to go over is allowing comments after the review period. And this is a little different. Remember, when you extended it during the review period, it extended for everybody. And if somebody was unable to comment during the event and the event's over, you can allow the comments on a case-by-case basis for that particular agency. And our rule of thumb is that we appreciate anybody's feedback. It shows up in their performance if they're late, especially if they're late often. And and we're tracking that, and we meet with them when there are issues and there are problems, but their comments in general are always welcome. But so sometimes this happens, like there's a workload issue, or there's you know, a hurricane or something, somebody gets sick, that they individually need to grant an extension. So that's why we have this extra tool here, and you would just name the specific reviewer that needs the extension, and what that does is it just opens the project up for them so that they can submit their comments. And the time frame is usually negotiated between the ETM coordinator and that agency person. They usually tell you, I can get it done in a few days or whatever it is. And then you use this tool. You just search for the reviewer and set the time period. You need to, usually they'll tell you what the issue was, and you can put that in the justification, set the start and end date, and then to grant the extension, you would click save. Or if you're not going to do it right now, you cancel. And then it shows up on the bottom. There's two tables there, current extensions. Like if Stephanie had saved that, it would have shown up right there. In the testing of this project, there were some expired. You know, they were set up during testing and have expired. So that just is letting you know, okay, these people did have an extension and it's over now. And as soon as that end date that you set finishes, the EST's locked down again. And typically what you would do at that point is review the comments and republish the summary report, so those comments could be incorporated into the summary report. The other thing that happens a lot post-screening task is recording community coordination. And that's down on your task list again under item 4. And there's two things you can do, is the community desired features and update public comments. And these are things that the CLC can also has access to do these things as well. So you can enter, it's just a text box, you describe the community desired features and save it, and it gets reported on the project detail page. The update public comments, again, that's another thing. Sometimes you might get some comments in from the public that you want to summarize. Maybe you had some meetings, you met with some groups, and you're just summarizing those activities prior to publishing the summary report, the screening summary report. And again, it's just a text box. You enter in what you need to and save. And with that, I think we can move on to supporting, creating and publishing a summary report. So now you're ready for the initial publication. You go down to item 5 there, under there. And just to point out a few things on here about how you know what needs done and where you are. You'll notice on the right, there's a list of things that are needed to do for preparing the summary report. And then under that, there's a, where it says preview and publish, there's also green marks, red marks, indicating that there's different items that need to be done. And Stephanie had partially started this one, so some of them are green and some of them are red. And you just kind of go through this first page that it brings up is the summary status report, and it just shows the status, and then she's just starting to walk through the steps that are listed under the prepare summary report. And the first one is responding to the comments and creating and adding the summary degree of effect and summary comments that are DOT, or if this is well, okay, this is programming screen, so it would be DOT, but if it's a planning screen, it was MPO, they could have their response there. So it's the sponsoring organization. And there's two things you can, what's most common is just providing the summary comments with the DOT overall response, but you can also respond to the individual comments if there's something that that particular agency said that you wanted to reflect to them. You can do that as well. That's optional, just like it was before. It's just all on one screen again, trying to make it easy for you to do your cutting and pasting and entering the information in one flow instead of having to step through a bunch of pages. I think somebody in testing timed it to see if it was faster than the old way, and they were able to do it more efficiently on one page.
Yep.
And so just going through each of the topics and entering the responses, summary degrees of effects, and the summary comments are what's required for this.
Yes, and this Save Reviews button will save the reviews on the entire page. They're just after each section. That way you're not having to bounce to the top or bottom to find save buttons.
That way you can save frequently in case you're,
Yes.
so you don't lose a lot if your internet goes out. Save frequently, save often.
Yep. And you can use the TOC to jump around if you need to as well.
Ruth, just to circle back to the dashboard,
Mm-hmm.
the Etat review status refreshes every 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for checking on that. Okay, and now I see everything, all the green marks. Oh, there are some optional things you can do, like updating project recommendations if there are specific recommendations to be considered as the project goes forward. You can add those. We don't, because this is so early in the transportation process, we do not put commitments in, but this would be the place where if there was a potential commitment, like the community wanted something that wasn't a desired feature, or, something of that, something of that nature, you could add it here. And then going on to summarize public comments, you can do that here as well. Again, it's the same as on that update public comments that we looked at before. Here you can assign the different technical studies. The first at the top, it shows if an agency recommended one that they would typically see and they want to see it for this project. And you can confirm that here. And then you can add others as well. There's a lot of DOT technical studies that we do that the agency wouldn't think of necessarily, but you can add more. So it all builds onto the list. And the same with the permits. We have a list of permits, and the agencies can recommend permits, let you know what would be expected, and you can include those as well as add additional ones. And we really hope that we've got the things in order under that prepare summary report in an order that makes sense for you as you're, especially if our people are starting to use it. Our testers gave us a lot of input on that. That really helped us fine tune this. So, so hopefully the flow is going really well for you. Any comments or suggestions, of course, are always welcome. We always kind of realize when we first implement something, until people are actually using it on real projects, we might be doing some tweaking, and we love to hear from you as you're using it, if you have any of those ideas. And then finally, we got everything done, so it's ready to publish, and you just go here and click the publish button. And that sends it to the public site. It sends it notice to the people who reviewed the project, or the agencies that reviewed the project, all your Etat, so that they get notified that the summary report's available. And I think that takes us through. Are there any questions?
Not at this time.
Because we got through that faster than I expected. So if you're ready, we can just go ahead and continue, Stephanie. We were thinking it'd be like 11 o'clock when we hit this point, take a break, but I don't think we need to take a break yet, unless you need to set up for something.
No, I've already got a project ready. It's had the initial summary report published, and now it's ready to start the cooperating, participating invitation process.
Perfect. Let's go for it then. So we go back to the Manage page, and you'll notice this agency coordination section has changed again, and it's because you've gotten that initial publication and you're ready to start on the next step. So the first thing on there is the managing the cooperating and participating invitations. So you're looking at what agencies have requested to be cooperating or participating and comparing that with what qualifications are. Our agencies are getting better and better at that. When we first implemented this, they didn't all know what that meant, but now they're getting better at it. But you can review it and forward the, either say, oh yeah, they should be cooperating, or if you don't agree with that, you could talk to them about it, make sure they understand what the requirements are, and make sure that it is applicable. So you respond to each of those requests and decide if that's applicable or not. And then once you've done all the responses, you can also recommend agencies as well, because sometimes they may not actually request it, but you might know that their official participation. It's a little bit confusing sometimes, because people are like, oh, well, I'm involved in the ETDM process, so I'm already participating. And in a small p sense, they are participating. They're involved in our process. We communicate with them. We continue to communicate with them. This cooperating and participating is very specific to the definitions in the NEPA regulations. And so there's this official process that we have to go through to add those roles to an agency. So that's what this process is about. It only applies to the federal projects. And then once you get everything set up, you can click the button to send the recommendations. And what that does is it sends it to OEM, that's the lead agency, because the lead agency is the one that officially sends the invitations, and they may need to contact the agencies, talk to them. They may hear of other agencies that need to be involved, and they have the ability to add people themselves, but generally they will come back to you and ask you to, because they want to make sure they're coordinating with you as well in the district, because of the relationship with the project. So they may send it back to add more or change that, but that's the general process. Usually it goes through, they finish the coordination they need to do, they send out their invitations, and then you can track that on the dashboard under the review options. where it is in the process. And you can also track it on this report that you get. Where was that again, Stephanie? I kind of
Yes.
was talking too much and I didn't point
No,
out where to find it.
no, on the project details page, for under the screening event results, there is a project involvement report, and this will track that invitation process. And as agencies respond to the invitations, then you will be able to see it on this report. It'll put the date they responded, any comments, and whenever OEM sends out the invitations, there'll be a column for that, and then the agency's responses.
So that's where you track the details of where it is, that process. And then once once they'll either accept it or decline it, and then that information gets saved in the database and gets also listed on the project detail page, the ones that have accepted, that have been invited and been accepted. And our next thing is processing. Once that's done, we can process the class of action determination. We can't process the class of action determination until that is finished because of the requirement for cooperating agencies in certain classes of actions to concur on that. So you go back to your project actions. Under the actions, you'll see there's a recommend class of action. You click that, and then yes, I'm sure I want to do that. And it brings you up to this page, which you should be familiar with. It lists by topic, and you indicate whether it's significant. And you'll notice as you scroll down, that header stays up there, so you can kind of see where the dots line up, so you can indicate the level of significance or not, and then enter your comments for each one. If you say it's not significant or no involvement or no impact, you don't have to put comments. Is that correct? Don't have to put a justification. If it's significant or a question of significant, you do have to put comments.
That is correct.
So again, scrolling down, indicate each one, enter comments.
Yes. And these items on the side, they'll open up that agency comments report with all of the reviews for that topic loaded.
Yes. Yeah, so if you just need a refresher on what they said. And then once you filled that all out, you go down to the bottom and you're actually recommending the class of action, EA, EIS, or SEER, or type 2. And then you indicate if there are other actions expected, like a section 4F or any of the different various consultations that are fairly common. And you can indicate anticipated permits. And we have gotten the 404 split out between U.S. Army Corps and DP. And then once you've entered all that, you can go ahead and either save it as a draft or save and continue.
Okay.
And you get your confirmation page.
Let's see, that was the preparation of the COA, and this is where the coordinator would actually sign for the district. Let's see, and then when it's signed, it goes to the lead agency for review.
And when they finish reviewing it, you'll get a notification that it's done. And when that is done, you can republish your summary report. And it's the same same basic process. You go back to your project actions, you look under the actions. Oh, there it is. I can publish it. And it gives you the status. And when it's ready, you can go ahead and publish it. And you always just add a republication note, just explaining why you're republishing it, what happened. And click the republish and it sends it out again. And brings you back to your project actions. So is there anything anything in that process that you need to see again, or is there something that you typically do during that time period that we didn't show you where to find it or where it was? Anything
How
popping up?
can you check the status of the COA? Question.
Yeah, one thing we're doing, if you go to the dashboard, I don't think it's working yet this week, but the idea is that under that, we're changing the name where it says Etat review, it's going to say review status, and that review status is going to include the OEM actions. So when you've sent something up to OEM, you'll be able to find it there.
Yes.
And the other place you could see it is on the reviewer action items if you pull up OEM's list.
Oh yeah, so if you want to delve into the details, go to the reviewer action items, and you have to change the search criteria because it defaults to your own agency. So you click that and then select OEM and submit, and it would show, they have a tab that would show up for class of action, and you could see that. But that's a lot of clicking, so we're making that shorter for you. So that when you're on your project actions or your dashboard, you can see it. You can see it immediately. Any other questions?
Not right now.
How about the, I just thought of something that we didn't go through, Stephanie, and that's the other AN comments, where to find those, and the federal consistency comments.
Okay.
And I guess you could also just, you can go from your project actions, or if you're not on your project actions page, you could just search for the project and come to the details.
Yep.
As well. So when you're on your project actions under the AN package, there's the option there to respond to AN comments. And that would be anybody who submitted any additional comments that weren't covered under their project effects or purpose and need or agency involvement. And then how do they check on the federal consistency determination? Because that typically comes in after, the state clearinghouse has to review the Etat comments. So they have a few days after the review period to actually respond with that.
So you can get to the federal consistency determination from the project details page.
And see
then,
right there, it gives the comments.
Yep. And if you want to see the individual agency's comments, you can click on that view link and it will bring up the Etat comments with it in addition to the finding
Great,
or
thank you.
determination. You're welcome.
And I think that's all we had on our list to show about that. The next thing was using the advanced search. We kind of highlighted it a little bit yesterday, but just to actually show an example. There's two options. One is to look at the search for projects, and let's see, and the second one is searching for reviews. But let's go ahead, and Stephanie, had something. There's a District 4. We're doing both regions and planning org, although you don't have to do that. You know, all of these options are you know, whatever makes sense for your particular query. You have lots of different options. Down under this ETDM filter, if you could show that just a little bit longer, the ETDM filter. It just has a lot of common queries that people ask of the EST in terms of the class of actions or the or different types of projects that might have gone through. So if there's a specific type of query that you use a lot and you can't kind of quite get to it, just let us know and we can see if we can add this to our filter so that we can get those queries for you. But these are ones that were available on the old site and we brought over, plus a couple extra new ones, I believe. So go ahead. That was it. I just wanted them to be able to see those different options. So you're searching for a published summary report, and then depending on that ETDM filter option, there'll be sub options, and in this case, it's a date range. And then once you've got your criteria the way you like it, it brings up a table of the results. And this is just like any of our other tables. You can sort, you can filter under the ETDM number. It has a pull down so that you can actually go directly to the page from the results. You can actually either pull up a summary report or the project details. And I believe that those options, those actions change depending on the filter that you use. This one, it knew you were looking for the summary reports. So it pulled that up. And then can we see the Etat reviews? You can pick one or more agencies that you're interested in. Districts, review dates. This is we call it the ad hoc query because it's like you're not interested in one particular project. If you know what project you're just interested in comments for a particular project, you would go to that project page and get the report from there. But this one is you're interested in a more general. I want to see like this particular agency, what kind of comments are they giving in general in this particular like topic, or if they have a degree of effect. So it's you know, or who has commented, you know, it's just questions like that it's not looking for a specific project, but a group of projects. So those are the two advanced search options. Any questions?
We did have a couple questions. One was, will anyone on the project team be able to develop agency comment responses for the summary report or only certain people? I believe it's coordinators, coordinator management team, and assigned PMs can enter the responses, but only the primary coordinator can publish.
Yes.
Yeah, the data entry people. So that's that slide I showed at the beginning showing the different roles. The data entry person cannot, but the ETM coordinator management team can help prepare them, but they cannot publish them. The ETDM coordinator primary obviously can, and so can their backup, their ETDM coordinator. But that backup person can't publish, and then the project managers can as well.
And then another question is, can you create an Excel table of the projects that you search for?
Yes, you
Oh,
can.
yeah. Can you go back to that? It's
Uh,
one of the features of these tables that we're using is anytime you see a table, you should be seeing a button up above the table that you can export to Excel or to comma delimited file. See over at the right there, Excel or comma delimited, or just copy it. And there you go. That's one
Thank
thing we
you.
like about these new tables, and you should see that throughout. Anytime you see one of these tables, you'll have that clear, safe search. Oh, the column visibility is interesting too. There might be data columns that are like you don't want to see all of them. You can hide them or open more up, and then you can do the copy Excel or CSV.
And then just someone wanted to confirm only the coordinator primary can publish the summary report.
Correct.
Correct. And then finally, someone was looking for the more search options on production. Those are not there yet. They will be there on Monday.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that was a new thing that we just are finishing up actually. Any more questions? Anybody else want to see anything else that we might have glossed over? We actually had plenty of time. This went a lot faster. Oh, finding additional resources. That was the last thing we wanted to show. We went over this a little bit yesterday, but just to show you again where to find more help, because this webinar was kind of highlighting the new things, where to find things in the new site, but each page has its own guides, its own, well, each page may not have its own video, but there's, associated videos throughout. And we are still in the process of getting a lot of that done. So this webinar will be published and will be under this help as well. So we have everything here on the EST. We also have it on our OEM training site as well under Etdm. Our contact list. We also have the library. Yeah, there's the contact list. Similar as before, it's grouped by the districts, and you can find your Etat, MPO, or different based on their roles. And then other resources at the bottom there. We've just kind of grouped some pages. There's the link at the top to our additional training site. We have our Etdm Library. Might want to show that. This is where if you can update, you can add documents to the library in the Etdm, or you can search for things, find things there as well. Again, we're just using our same tables. We've got our glossary. So you can search that as well. And the acronyms, that's another table that pops up. Agency and associated resources and topics. This is if you need to know which agency is expected to comment on which topic. I'll list it there. And I believe there's a link to that report on the Etat comments report also, right? Or when they're doing their summary report. If you find it's not linked and there'd be a handy place to link it, just let us know, because I know that's something you sometimes need to look up. And then there's a link to the public. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, public site, thank you. And then we just had a quick question. Can you go over the steps on how to reach the page where you leave the summary comments review?
When you're preparing the summary report?
Degree of effect, yes.
Yeah. So you go to project actions. You find if the project has finished the Etat review, so notice the status. And then you click on prepare summary report. And that opens up the form, prepare summary report. And you summarize. Did you see where she clicked summarize and respond to agency reviews? And the 4 green, that's what she named her alternative. It's for that particular alternative. And then I guess another way to do it, if this project is in this state, you know, that the Etat comments are complete, and you just go to the project detail page, you'll notice that manage project taskbar is still there. It's going to be collapsed because it kind of, oh no, it's not. It actually knows who you are and figuring you're probably wanting to do something rather than just read the report. You can collapse and expand both the manage project taskbar and the table of contents. But down here, you can preparing the summary reports, one of the options in the manage tasks, isn't it? Yeah. Task 5, prepare summary report. So that's another way to get to it. You go
And if there are several alternatives, will they appear at the top for entering summary DOEs and comments?
Do you have an example that you can show with multiple alternatives?
Let me see. I think when there are multiple alternatives, it does them for the section. Let's see. Do I have one? Yeah, I'm not sure if I have. Let's see. Yeah, so far all the ones I'm finding are just one alternative right now.
We need to check on that, but I'm pretty sure what it is it walks you through. You go through one, and then you go through the next, and then you go through the next, and it lets you know under that review status when all of them are done. because you can't publish the summary report until all of them are summarized. Sorry, we didn't have that to show. Any more questions?
Just when are these things going to be available? And the answer is on Monday.
Monday. And like I said, the new site and the old site, we're going to be running concurrently through the middle of June, but we do hope you hop over to the new site as soon as possible, starting next week, because from the feedback that we've gotten from our testers and things, the site is much easier to use than our old site, and might as well get used to it since that IE is going away on June 15th anyways. So we hope you like it, and as you start using it, if you have any questions, just give us a call at the help desk. We'd love to hear from you.
Let's see, I found a project with multiple
Oh, yay.
analysis
Okay.
areas.
Okay, so look under, so to the right there, you can see, well, it's right, it's there in the status page, as well as to the right, it tells you what still needs to be done. And then as you're summarizing and responding,
You can select which
select which
analysis.
one.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, or you will be able to on Monday. And then again, just walk through each one till all those red marks are green. But it does recognize if you have more than one alternative. And this page that she's been showing that shows the status is that first option under prepare summary report. That's the overview and instructions. So it just kind of tells you what still needs to be done. Any more questions?
Not seeing any right now.
Okay, well, we will be sending out a notification on Monday once everything has been moved up to production and checked to make sure that bug went away. And we'll hope to hear from you. We're looking forward to getting your feedback on the new site and hope you enjoy using it. Are there any other comments? I see the comment. Any questions before we close out?
A lot of thank yous.
Okay, great. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day, everybody.